Welcome to Switching Reels.
Welcome to Switching Reels, Connor. Thank you for being in my home.
You're welcome, Trenton.
What do we watch?
You're a host.
Yeah.
In the Parasite.
Are you the
context.
parasite?
No,
Who's the parasite?
I don't know. You're a host, though.
What do we watch?
Let's start over. Oh, that was horrible.
I think that was fine, actually. It's probably going to make it.
Oh, no.
I've had a great day, everyone.
Yep.
It's been good. Thank you for being here.
I'm running on several weeks of 3 hours of sleep.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. We watched Return of the Jedi.
Return of the King. Yes, sir. Third movie in the...
The fact that you almost got me with that.
It's the third movie.
Sure. Yep.
The Empire Strikes Back also begins with T, like from Two Towers.
That's
So...
Anyway, recommendations.
Recommendations.
If you've been watching Star Wars or have watched
You should finish it.
Star Wars like this,
Yeah.
there's no reason not to watch this one.
No.
Um,
It's my favorite, so it's...
I honestly do think that it is the weakest of the original trilogy.
Oof.
That said, it's still worth watching.
That's fair to say, because I had only negativity towards Empire last week, so that's only reasonable.
I did not get that sense during the actual episode,
Good.
and then when we signed off and you told me that you actively disliked Empire, I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah, and I think, I'm looking forward to going and dissecting with you why I like this movie. I think that'll
Okay.
be beneficial to me, so
Okay.
thank you for being here.
Yeah. Well,
So,
there's no podcast if we're not both here.
that's true,
Because otherwise it's just me talking about movies or just you talking about movies. And
which would be interesting. I'd probably bring in my cat.
yep.
What do you think, Caspian?
He would probably say there was nothing worth pawing at the screen for
Yeah,
in
this
one.
one. That's a good point.
So-
Yeah, it was not interesting enough for him to go pawn at the screen.
Yep.
He also had it really loud, so I feel like there's a lot of explosions in this one.
I don't know enough about cats to really say anything one way or the other.
I like my cats.
So, yeah.
Does it deserve its place? Where is this on the list?
This one is hovering around 60-something.
Really? It's
Yeah.
that far down?
Yeah, it's by far the lowest rated.
That's so sad. Because New Hope's like 28 or something.
Yeah.
And then Empire is 15, I think. 15 or 14.
Yeah.
So, wow. Okay, good to know. Top 100 then. But...
Yeah.
Top 75.
It may have gotten out of the 100. I can't remember.
I'll go check later.
Yeah. But do I think that it deserves to be on the top 250 list? Probably. This is the only Star Wars movie that I go, maybe not, but I think it probably deserves a place.
Yeah.
I might even put it a little lower than it is.
Reasonable.
And again, I don't think that this is a bad movie. Like I don't think it's a bad Star Wars movie even. I just think that as far as it being the flagship series that it was in the first two episodes.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm concerned, the first one is basically a masterpiece.
Yes.
And the second one only improves. And I know that you disagree with that, but this third one not even reaching the first one's prestige. I go, I don't know.
That makes total sense.
So
I think it deserves its place on the list. So that's it.
Would
as
you
long as
place
it's
it higher?
Yes, but
yeah. Okay.
I haven't seen like number 50 yet.
That's fair.
So, I think it is worse than 12 Angry Men.
So all right, awesome. 12 Angry Men is the benchmark for every other movie.
I really liked that one. I really hope in like 10 years when we're done with this, we go back and watch that one. I can be like, yep, nope, I was wrong.
Again, I don't think the 12 Angry Men is bad either. And,
Yeah.
you know, I would put it lower on the list, but that's about it.
I like it.
Yeah. It's a good movie. So yeah, let's do our enjoyment and technical ratings.
Love it.
You want to go first? I've
Yeah.
gone first the last couple of times.
I'll
I think.
go first. So, enjoyment for me is a solid 9 and a half. Like I really like. I don't don't entirely know why, but that I really like it. We'll talk more about that later. Technical, I can see that one being like a 7 or 8. Yeah, light 7, strong 8. Just kidding.
Okay.
All the way around.
Yeah. A strong 7 to a light 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Enjoyment, I'd probably put this one strong 7 to a light 8.
Nice.
And then on the technical side, I would probably go a little bit lower, just strong 7.
Nice.
A large portion of that comes down to the compositing in this. It's super obvious in a lot of places in here, which, again, in another movie might not be as big a deal, but considering the amount of nearly seamless technical prowess we've seen from the other Star Wars movies,
yeah.
I mean, it is
unacceptable.
It's below the standard that has been set.
And that's a good point.
You know, and again, I think that in a lot of those compositing scenes, they're actually probably some of my favorite scenes in the movie. You know, you've got the speeder bikes. Oh yeah, we're not supposed to talk about spoilers yet.
Almost there.
There aren't any speeder bikes in this movie if you've never seen it.
Sorry, guys. So. Speeder. Anyway, so I think at this point then we can go into spoilers. Like, hey guys.
Yeah.
This is spoiler territory.
This is spoiler territory.
We're going into it. Please like, comment, subscribe if you like what we've been doing so far. We appreciate you coming along this ride with us. And please let us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you.
All right, now they're all gone. There are speeder bikes in this movie.
Whoa! I missed them.
Oh,
just kidding.
okay.
There's so many, and they just go 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. It's like the DM was like, "Oh, you're gonna get another wave of enemies because I need you to fight longer." Anyway,
is that what's happening in our campaign? Sorry, that's completely off. That's
I don't draw
completely off topic.
So summary of the movie. Want to go first? Want to go second?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Love it.
There is a new Death Star being created. Some plans are leaked to the Rebels, and the Rebels go on a split mission to go destroy the shield that is surrounding the new Death Star and the team that is actually going to destroy the Death Star. Team that is destroying the shield gets ambushed while Luke is on the Death Star, which he goes to confront Darth Vader and try to turn him to good. The Rebel fleet shows up and the shield's still up. They fight for their lives while the team on the ground is also fighting to try to destroy this bunker. They eventually succeed. Then the Rebel fleet goes in, destroys the Death Star that Luke is on with his dad. Darth Vader has a redemption, kinda, and kills the Emperor, and then they all leave, supposedly having destroyed the Empire.
Which didn't happen the first time because the Emperor was still alive.
Yeah. Or because Darth Vader was alive. I'm not sure.
One of the two. Yeah. All right.
This is not a very politically sound movie.
Yeah, that's also a very good point. All right, let's summarize this. So we got to go get back our party member who was gone for half of a session, maybe. Like they got captured, and now we're getting them back. So
You are in DM mode
I am
today.
very much in DM mode today. So we go back, get him, and then kill a minor hut character, causing a large political vacuum that we don't dwell on. And then we go into space. Yoda dies.
Yeah,
Right? That happens in this movie. Yoda dies, and they go meet up on Endor to go and destroy a power generator, which why do they need that? And then they go and also, after destroying the power generator, destroy the Death Star. But Luke's kind of like having a heart-to-heart with his dad during this time. And
that's one way to put it.
which ends with his dad killing his boss. And then Luke watching his dad die, and then leaving, and then burning him, and then we get a nice, cool Ewok celebration.
I'm not sure which of our summaries was worse.
Watch the movie if you want to know more.
Yep.
Whew, all right, let's go. Okay, so in doing that, I do realize that the plot of this movie is a little thinner than normal. You know? And it might be because that I like this one because of like the action. I think they do really well in this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like all of the choreography, but larger than like the story that is told within all of the action scenes is so well done. You have the like Ewoks just wrecking the ambush on Endor. You have the I think pretty cool choreography of killing Jabba in the first few scenes.
Oh yeah.
And like there's a lot of really cool actiony things in this that just like keep me going for the entire time and don't make me question the plot, which is a good thing because
the plot's a little bit bonkers.
Exactly. They're like, let's go make a second Death Star.
Yeah.
The only difference is we have a shield on the ground now.
And the opening scroll says it's more powerful.
And it's more powerful, which we can neither prove nor disprove on this particular episode, as we only see it destroy some spaceships, which are not planets.
No, they're smaller than planets.
They're small, much smaller than planets. They're not even moons. They're space stations. Never mind. That's the first movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the plot I think is quite a bit thinner. They do rely quite a bit in this one on the characters that they've already established, sort of just being the characters that you
because even in the fifth movie you introduce Lando.
Well, and there's just, as we talked about, there's a lot of development of the characters there. In this one, I don't see almost any development of any characters, with the exception of Luke, whose primary battle is the thematic battle between good and evil.
Yeah.
Which I will say, there's that one infamous shot where it's kind of on the nose, but it's right down the center of his face, and it's dark on one side and light on the other.
Yeah.
And it's very, very good at somehow being on the nose and subtle at the same time, because on one hand you can just look at it and be like, oh yeah, he's hiding from Darth Vader. And then on the other hand, like it's illustrating his
having internally right now.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that the lightsaber duel in this is better than any of the other ones in the original trilogy.
In the original trilogy,
and we sang the praises of
much
the lightsaber duel at the end of Empire.
So good.
Yes.
This one was better.
I think this one's better.
Yeah, I think so too. The choreography was better. The effects of it were better. You still are able to see the personality in both of them a little bit. Like you can see the progression of Luke as well.
I love seeing the conflict of Luke in this as well, because in that last moment where he's just, you can see the animalistic nature of what he's feeling, which is so well reflected from Empire.
Yes. From his father doing that
right,
against him.
Yeah. Yeah, I really, really love that part of this.
Completely agree.
And I will say, from a technical side, the run on the inside of the Death Star,
it's so pretty.
Also just gorgeous. Yeah.
It's so pretty. Like, and that was where you can very much tell they were playing a lot more with CG, but they did it really well. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's not CG in the way that we would use it today. It was a lot of compositing and that kind of stuff. And also, I think it's probably the least noticeable compositing in this movie.
Yeah, the one I think that really sticks out badly to me is the collision of the giant Star Destroyer against what we assume is the Death Star.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it feels bad looking at it. You're like, oh.
I think it's just the featurelessness of the Death Star, which they kind of had to pull from the first one with. Yeah. Because they didn't have the budget in the first one, and so they kind of pigeonholed themselves there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, as far as this being the anchor to the original Star Wars trilogy, I'm okay with it. I just, I don't love it like I love the other ones.
And that's a really good point. They were doing a lot to wrap up the series in this one.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's probably why they went a little less story and a little more action. Like, they'd already done a lot of good character development and like universe building up to this point, and now they were like, okay, hey, we've done a good job, but there wasn't. For some reason, they didn't want to put in as much other development. This is a great action movie.
Yeah.
I think, personally. Like,
I would agree with that, yeah.
But outside of that, it gets a little harder to...
Yeah, and I think it's a creative action movie as well. Like, there are just some set pieces that you would not see in sort of... If you were to just say, pick a generic action movie, you're not going to see the set pieces from this.
No.
Even a generic sci-fi action movie, you're not going to see that.
Exactly.
So yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
Because it was like, this one was like tying up a lot of threads. Like, hey, the entire time we know that Han Solo had a bounty, we tie up that thread. Yoda was on Dagobah, we tie up that thread.
Yeah.
Darth Vader and Luke being related, we tie up that thread. And then destroy the Empire. So, like, they accomplish all of the, like, bullet points that they needed to do to go and finish out the series. But...
yeah.
Yeah.
So, there is... this was one of the most critically unliked movies in the original Star Wars trilogy as well. And I've looked into some of the complaints, and I have to agree with them a little bit on this. It is generally agreed on by the critics when this came out that this was sort of empty in comparison to the other Star Wars movies. And I do think that's going to mean that we have less to talk about in this episode.
No, that's true. And that is, like, it does feel less, like you were saying, there's less character development, there's less plot. There's, like, it doesn't have what the first one had, where it, like, its novelty kind of carried it past the fact that its plot was a pit trap. Like, fall through it if you step on it. But, and then, like, the second one, like you were saying, built very beautifully on top of the first one when it came to plotting, characterization.
Yeah. I don't have... Sorry, this is another thing. I just know that it's like I don't know when this was. I heard somewhere that a lot of people hate the Ewoks.
What?
Yeah. I don't know.
Hate the Ewoks? I guess so. I mean, like, they don't add a lot of value.
Yeah.
To the story. This is the first time that you really see, like, some other alien race in the Star Wars movies contributing, but when they really didn't need to. Like,
I think the reason people didn't like them was because they were kind of cutesy, but, like, I don't know.
They're so cute.
Yes, that would be the problem. I have no problem with the Ewoks. I think some of it is a little far-fetched. Like, we watch them failing through half of the battle, and then they just start succeeding really, really quickly.
Real hard.
And I think with that, I go, okay, yeah, I can kind of see why people would be frustrated with this, but like, I don't hate the Ewoks. I also heard a rumor, and I don't think it's true, having watched this more recently, was that originally they wanted to have them be Wookiees, but they couldn't afford the costumes. So they just halved them. And so
I love that, if it is the truth.
I love it if it's the truth, but I don't think it is.
Yeah.
Looking at Chewbacca and any of the Ewoks side by side, you're like, nah, it's not the same material.
Yeah, that's really funny if it was true.
I want to start with performances on this next point, because I don't think there's as many
strong performances,
really strong ones.
Like,
I would say Han was still pretty strong, but it was basically just a prototype for Indiana Jones.
It was, and it was like watered down Han from the other ones. And like, I could almost go and say, oh, he went through a really traumatic experience. He's not being nearly as daredevilly reckless or sassy as he was in the other ones.
Yeah.
He has more responsibility now or something, but
he
isn't, it doesn't feel like the same character. I thought, like, out of like the characters that were there and their performances, both I think Mark Hamill did a pretty good job with like his delivery of everything, and also Lando did a really, really good job in the like areas that you saw him.
I would agree. My issue is Lando is so much less of a character in this.
Yes.
And it's like that's a writing issue.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
But yeah, I think Mark Hamill as Luke did a great job. I don't know what was going on with Carrie Fisher, because like there are a lot of scenes in this where I'm like, this is not the quality of acting that I have come to expect from her.
Yeah, exactly, from the last two movies.
Yeah. I will say, Ian McDormand, the Emperor, absolutely killed it in this.
Gorgeous.
Like, honestly,
his performance is fantastic.
He may be the I guess crowning achievement of this movie for me.
Yeah, is the Emperor.
Yeah.
Like, showing up, and then how he delivers like everything about him. Like, he is a Sith. Like, he is the embodiment of like evil for evil's sake to obtain power. Like, he does such a good job. With it. Very, very, very
like
well.
And there are some lines that he says where I'm like, if that was delivered any more poorly, it would not have been believable. But because he just absolutely murdered it, it was like the sarcastic comment about, oh, I think that the shields will still be up when your friends arrive. Like, any lesser actor, that would have been a terrible line.
Super cringy, like, just not cool.
But there is so much menace in that sarcastic comment. Like, it's just
the now, my young Skywalker, you will die is like,
oh yeah,
it's just so well done.
Honestly, and there's always been something that bothered me about the way that he was sent off in this movie, and I think I figured it out. It's that the amount of power and evil that he commands on screen is just snuffed out so easily by just quickly.
A quick Darth Vader throw.
Quick throw.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's a shame, and I don't think it. I think there were two characters Boba Fetted in this movie.
Yeah, they were. Like, and Boba Fett comes back.
Yeah,
but in the extended universe.
Yes.
Yeah, no, entirely. Like, there were two that were just like, oh, whoops.
Yep.
Why?
Yeah, and yeah.
The one
I have a bigger issue with the Emperor actually on that, because like Boba Fett, I understand, like, he was sort of the original, like, oh yeah, this guy's cool and he's gonna be here for a while kind of thing. But after watching these a few times, I've started to kind of stale on Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
He stands there most of the time.
That's almost all
That's
he
about
coordinates and he stands there.
Yeah. I mean, he does some cool stuff occasionally, but yeah, I don't think he was set up as the villain that needed the grand send off. I have far less of an issue with Boba Fett being Boba Fetted.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
But yeah, the Emperor needed a better end than that.
See, part of me really feels like it was fulfilling. Like,
yeah,
if you go and compare the power levels of Darth Vader and Darth Sidious,
mm-hmm.
Vader is objectively stronger. The reason that Sidious is even where he is because of the like power dynamic that came up from him making Darth Vader his apprentice.
Yeah.
And then Darth Vader hasn't really had like any desire or motivation or like reason to go and step over that. He doesn't want to have doesn't want to be the master. Like his ambition has never really been for power, you know? He's driven by hatred and anger.
Yeah.
That is what he is. As soon as there's a better alternative to hatred and anger that like is made convincingly through his son, he's able to go and switch on that, which I think that personally I was like, oh, okay. Sidious, while not nearly as old as Yoda, is probably nearing maybe only 80, I guess. Probably not that old. But physically deteriorated probably from when he was fighting Yoda in the third movie. Interventions.
I would hope so, given his state in that movie.
Like, to me, if he was going to be dumb enough to not bring a lightsaber to a lightsaber fight and then just depend on force lightning, like, he's going to be outclassed by a cyborg.
I'm actually fine with that. It's the fact that the solution is to throw him. If Darth Vader would have just, like, quick drawn Luke's discarded lightsaber.
Nice. Oh, the green one.
Yeah. And struck him down. Like,
that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
No, that's a really good point.
Like, that I would have been okay with.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It would have been immediate. You would have seen the surprise on his face and all that, instead of just like this weird scene of him being carried.
Yeah.
And then like tossed.
Yeah. I think it's just the theatrical in me that really enjoys that. Like, Skywalkers are so dramatic.
Yeah.
You know? Like, that would have been a lot easier and a lot cooler, like but the act of going and killing the Emperor by throwing him into the thing that he created to go and like dominate the universe, poetic.
Okay. I can see it from that perspective.
But I agree. There could have been a lot of other cooler things there.
He should have gone for the closer shaft at least.
Yes, he should have. You want like he picked up the Emperor. There's one right above Luke. Throw him over. But no, he'll walk over. Yeah, completely agree with that. Absolutely.
So, yeah. Either way, Emperor, honestly, he has so much of a presence over this trilogy.
So much.
Despite the fact that we only get screen time with him in this one.
Exactly. We get hologram.
I never really realized how big of an impact he had.
Right? Because even in the first one, the Emperor has gone and destroyed the Galactic Senate. Like,
right, yeah.
And then...
we get comments about him and
his power and his... Like, absolutely.
A hologram message, and that's it.
Exactly. Part of me almost thinks that, like, Sidious isn't actually all that strong in the Force, and is just a really, really, really good politician.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely that indication even from the prequels.
Yeah.
Where, like, he might be that strong in the Force, but honestly, he doesn't prefer to move in that realm.
In that way. Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
So.
Completely.
Yeah. Themes, honestly, this one, there's the good and evil, and that seems to be about it to me.
I'm trying to think of anything else
like
that could be here.
There's
friendship, loyalty, power of friendship. the word friends is used a lot in this movie.
That's true.
But it's weak.
Yeah, I would say at best it's a very weak theme. I think the finding the good in everyone is a theme here, and I would say the difficulty of walking the line between good and evil is the other one.
Yeah, and I think the making of choices, and like no matter what point you're at, you can still make the choice.
Yeah.
To be different,
mm-hmm.
regardless of what you've done so far.
Yeah. I still think that Vader's redemption is not as strong as the movie thinks it is. It still feels kind of like a selfish act to me, especially when you consider the prequels, and like the whole thing is that he wants to save the people that he cares about, and he clearly cares about Luke, despite the fact that like he's willing to sacrifice him for things. Like he clearly cares about him, and I think him just deciding to kill the Emperor for it is not a great moment of redemption for Anakin Skywalker.
That's a good point. I also feel like, since it is just Anakin Skywalker, I think they were trying to get at the, like, so far up to this point, Anakin's good, and well, I'm not up to this point, obviously. Darth Vader has one thing he does. He kills people. It is his solution to every problem.
But it's his solution to the last problem, too.
Exactly. But, and so it's the, like, if you have one tool and you have a problem that you'd like to solve, and you don't have the time or desire to know another tool or use it, you use what you have. He has violence.
Have you ever heard the phrase, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail?
Exactly. He's the epitome of that.
No, that's not. That doesn't mean that he's redeeming himself by actually hitting a nail.
He's hitting the right nail. Yeah, that's a very good point. I feel like it's actually good characterization, because he doesn't. Up to this point, that's what he's been doing. He didn't expect to go and change here at the end, you know? Like, he wasn't building up to some different decision.
Well, they clearly show that he is willing to go, or he's supposed to have gone to a different decision. He talks to Luke about the fact that Luke was right about him, and that there's good in him.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, the good in me is that I killed that other dude.
It's the whole, like, if you go and kill a murderer, the number of murders remains
the same.
And then there's always that one character who's like, what if you kill them all?
Well, what if you kill two people?
Exactly.
All right, let's move on.
This movie has digressed us. That's the power of this movie specifically.
Are you saying that this movie makes you dumber?
Yes.
That's not a good thing.
But it makes me feel good.
All right. We've
things.
already touched on some of the technical things. I will say the sets in this one are probably the best that they've been in the entire series.
I completely agree. Oh, it's so pretty. You can notice it when Darth Vader goes to the Death Star the first time, and just the shot of the Imperial cruiser or Imperial Star shuttle going into the Death Star and all of the cranes and stuff while it's being built is super cool. I love that a lot.
Oh, and I really noticed it on Endor.
Endor was so pretty.
Watching like all of the scenes through the foliage and that kind of thing, I'm like, if they would have been able to do this in the first movie with Tatooine, like, there's a lot of really, really cool stuff that they could have done with that.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I think Tatooine was done poorly. It was just
good of them to choose
clearly done on a budget.
Yes. Desert planets are easy if you don't have money.
Right, yeah. But yeah, I think I think this one definitely had the best sets of any of them. Even some of like the rebel hangars and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we see a rebel hangar in every single one of these movies. In New Hope, it's
really dark.
Just it's very dark. It's kind of dingy.
Yeah,
you see like 2 ships at a time, kind of thing.
Exactly.
They definitely had more money for Hoth.
Yes,
and
much more.
You see,
very pretty.
you see a lot more in there. This third one has the best detail, I think, of any of them, where you get like the dirt on the floor and that kind of stuff, but it doesn't look like, it. You can actually see. So yeah, I think this one was. The sets were incredible. I think the set pieces also were just really, really cool. We've already talked about that quite a bit.
Yeah, the aesthetic through the entire thing is spot on.
Oh yeah,
I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, Luke dressing mostly in like dark colors, and emphasizing his current struggle with that kind of thing.
Yeah,
is fantastic. Echoing his dad as well, and the fact that he's only black, like it's very, very, very cool. Yeah, I feel like the color, everything visually, everything was stunning.
Yeah,
to me, I think. Which of the composites do you have a problem with?
So there were a few. Most of them were floating things. So the speeder bikes, the desert skiffs, and the barge coming through, and you can just clearly see the outline.
Yeah.
And there is one that I have an issue with in the hangar, and it's when Han and Lando are having the conversation in front of the Millennium Falcon, and you can clearly see that they're composited on in front of a backdrop.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, and so like there's a lot of it in this one, and yeah, I mean it's not a huge issue. I don't think it ruins the movie, but it does definitely knock down my my technical score
totally
quite a bit. So. But the explosions in this one are very well done, and I think far better than any of the other movies as well.
They're really, really, really well done.
They've got colors and shapes that feel right for what's exploding.
Exactly. Even
as opposed to the Death Star in the first one, where it was like, it just kind of puffs into a cloud.
I like because I think it was in the.
It's cathartic, but I don't think it's
in the newly digitized version. It has like the cool like horizontal ring shockwave.
Even that, I don't feel like it fits.
I thought it was cool.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was awesome.
But yeah, I don't have anything else to say about this one, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I think it still does stand as my favorite, but mostly because I get carried through, like the endorphins just get me through the whole way.
Yeah.
I'm just excited the entire time.
Yeah. This was my favorite when I was a kid.
I just haven't grown up. Easy.
I don't have any nostalgia in me, so I can't enjoy things just because I liked them when I was a kid. So, you're still a kid and I'm dead inside. It's all right.
There we go.
But yeah, so next week we're watching The Matrix, which you have seen.
We're watching
correct?
The Matrix?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so exciting. I haven't seen The Matrix in forever.
But you have seen it.
I have seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be fun. I'm excited for that one.
I've seen it as well. I'm excited for the week after because we'll start getting back into movies you haven't seen.
Yeah, which will be like, I think that's still the majority of this list up to like down from this point.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the things so far.
I've looked ahead and I'm like, okay, so we've got a few movies, and then you're going to have seen one of them, and then we've got a few more, and it's like, okay.
This is what it's supposed to be.
This is where the real podcast starts.
Exactly.
So how do we end this? How do we end this, guys?
I think we need to...
Is that how?